The headlines: Water Authority workers expect mega payout to begin within weeks. Campaigners seek fines for illegal access to disabled parking spots. And Barbados CARIFTA teams returning home with 4 more medals than 2015. Welcome to Nation News for Tuesday, March 29th, 2016. Thanks so much for joining us. Water Authority workers could receive their first payments of their multi-million-dollar strike settlement by the end of April. The General Secretary of the Barbados Workers Union, Tony Moore, made the announcement after meeting workers to bring them up to date with the terms of the pay deal, which is said to be about $30 million. Given the sums involved, parliamentary approval will likely be required for full disbursement.
The disbursement of the money will now have to be done through, I believe, a supplemental, which would have to go through the usual channels from the Treasury to Parliament and so on. And Parliament is in recess until the 19th of April. I believe, therefore, that the groundwork will be prepared so that when Parliament comes off recess, when Parliament gets back into session, that it will just be a matter of approving, so that we are very hopeful that by the end of the month we can have payments being disbursed to the workers of the authority.
Tony Moore said the workers were pleased that an agreement had been reached, but were unhappy that it took so long and involved a strike of more than a week.
The workers at the Water Authority are happy. They are happy that finally this matter is put to close. Well, I would also say to you that is a kind of bittersweet feeling, because whilst they're happy, they are still feeling somewhat bruised from the fact that they had to go through so much for so long for a matter that was not as complex as had been put to the public to be brought to close.
Campaigners are pushing for fines for non-disabled people who park in spots designated for people with disabilities. As the month for the disabled draws to a close, the recommendations are contained in a petition to be presented to government this week that also calls for disabled parking spaces in all public places. Edmund Hinkson, the MP for St. James North and the director of the Council for the Disabled, said in a statement that it is high time that laws are put in place to ensure equal opportunities for people with disabilities. Mr. Hinkson said he laid a private member's resolution in Parliament last March calling for disabilities legislation, but the House had so far failed to debate it. The fishing community wants to be taken more seriously, just like other businessmen and women. President of the National Union of Fisherfolk Organizations, Vernell Nichols, said they plan to train fisherfolk to take a more business-like approach to their operations. She also hopes to see a change in the way industry workers are viewed by the public. Speaking during the Oysters Fish Festival, Ms. Nichols said people tended to think the fishing sector is for people who are undereducated. 180 children, including 100 from children's homes, were affected on 2 catamarans on Easter Monday. The cruise was organized by humanitarian Sharon Bellamy Thompson, who, on public holidays, often provides treats for children that they would not ordinarily enjoy. She told Nation News that Monday's event was fully sponsored by local businesses. Officials of the World Bank are in Barbados to assist in carrying out a national risk assessment on terrorism financing and money laundering. Senior financial sector specialist at the bank is Lisa Bostwick.
We are not here to assess or rank or judge or in any way put Barbados on a list with other countries. We're solely here to provide you with a methodology so that Barbados can conduct its own national risk assessment. We will guide you in how to use the methodology, but ultimately your findings and conclusions are those of Barbados. The World Bank will not pressure you to change your conclusions in any way. We will simply tell you how the methodology can be used, and it will be up to you to support your own conclusions. After all, you are the experts here on the situation in Barbados, not the World Bank's team.
It's still not clear whether the kite event of the year will be back in 2017. The annual Kite Flying Fun Day by residents of Blackman's St. Joseph took place as usual on Easter Monday, but the open field, as you must know by now, has been earmarked for a new sugar factory. If it was the last, the event signed off in style with the hoisting of two 25-foot kites in recognition of the country's 50th anniversary of independence celebrations. Organizer Nilo Maskell said he was grateful to contractors Innotech. Up next is this week's commentary on investment in local athletes.
Congratulations to the Barbados swimming, chess and track teams which excelled at the various CARIFTA championships. The chess team retained the regional title, the swimmers won 44 medals and the track athletes won 20 medals with some outstanding individual performances. The pride was evident all over social media, with even the most casual track and field fan pausing to watch the races, comment or offer advice. But in the midst of the pride, there was also a feeling of shame when we look at the national stadium and how it compares to facilities across the region. It is nothing but a national disgrace. We urge the powers that be to put the greatest effort into rebuilding our national stadium. An investment in our youth is an investment in the future.
In sport, Barbados ended the CARIFTA Games in Grenada with 20 medals, including 6 gold, for what has been deemed a relatively successful campaign. The haul was 4 more than last year. Among the outstanding performers were middle distance runner Jonathan Jones, who set new records in the under 18 boys 800 and 1500 meters, as well as Shadi Williams, who won the under 20 girls 200 and 400 meters. Head coach Brian Holder said the CARIFTA team focus was on performance.
Oh, well, I'm indeed extremely pleased by the performance of the Barbadian team. You talk about medals, we talk about performances. So in our team meetings, we kept talking about aiming for World Junior qualifying marks, those kind of targets we set. And once you aim for performances of that quality, medals will come.
Mr. Holder also urged local coaches to reduce the coach-to-athlete ratio to produce better quality athletes. The Barbados Junior Gems netballers are preparing to defend their Caribbean Under-16 title. Coach Julie Phillips says the girls will be ready for Saturday's start.
Well, like in every age group competition we go in, we don't know what our opponents will look like, but I can tell you that the Barbados Gems, we are fully prepared to go the full mile. And we've been working diligently for the last about 4 months, and we've been going 3 days a week with the exception of last week when we would have had a short break, but generally my team is getting ready for April 2nd.
Barbados' first match will be against Grenada at 6 p.m. on Saturday. 8 teams are taking part in the tournament, including Jamaica, who are returning after a break. And finally, a nurse in New York has been forced to surrender her license after she snapped a picture of the penis of an unconscious patient. 27-year-old Kristen Johnson pleaded guilty in November to a misdemeanor charge of disseminating unlawful surveillance photos. The New York Education Department said Johnson did not contest the charge of moral unfitness in the practice. The plea deal required her to surrender her license to practice as a registered nurse and complete 3 years of probation. Investigators said she was arrested in May last year after an investigation determined she had snapped the picture with her iPhone 5 and sent it to co-workers at Upstate University Hospital in Santa Cruz. And that's Nation News for Tuesday. For more news, log on to nationnews.com and follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And remember to pick up your Midweek Nation on Wednesday or subscribe to our e-paper.